Patrol 1701 here, and today we are going to talk about The Long Game from Series 1 of Modern Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. I feel like this episode doesn't quite get the attention it should. I think it's actually a really good episode. I think it gets a little looked over simply because it's in such a good series. I think Series 1 is a lot like Season 13 of Classic Who in the sense it's just so many good episodes that you have one or two that are still good. They get kind of lost because there's so many really good ones in it. For instance, Android Invasion of Planet of Evil in Season 13 of Classic Who because it's surrounded by so many masterpieces. I feel like The Long Game also has this problem. Series 1 of the modern Doctor Who series just has so many good stories between like Rose and The Unquiet Dead, even though I have trouble watching that one. It's really well made. Dalek, the Empty Child two-parter, the two-part finale. I also really enjoyed Boomtown. Got a lot going for it. Just so many good episodes that I feel like The Long Game gets a little overlooked. I do really like this one. I think it does a couple of things really, really well. One, I like Simon Pegg being in it. That's neat. I think Eccleston puts on a tour de force performance here. I really like him. Just everything about him is good in this one. He's such a good doctor. But one, I like the character of Adam. We actually get to see a failed companion, or a companion who's not fit to be a companion. Someone that is, brought along as a companion and they just utterly fail at it. They utterly don't have what it takes to be a good companion. And it's nice seeing that play out because we never really see that very often. I actually think Victoria was like that too, since she was kind of forced to go along with the second Doctor when her dad died, and she never seemed super happy a lot when she was traveling with the Doctor. So I also don't think she was a good companion. Acting fine, but not a good companion because she didn't choose to be there. She was just kind of thrust into it. With Adam, he just doesn't have what it takes. He's too selfish. He's too worried about giving his past self information for when he gets back to kind of help improve his life and technology. It's interesting, too, to look at him because the Doctor didn't pick him as a companion. Rose kind of picked him as a companion. The Doctor just let her do it. And it just goes to show that the Doctor does pick his companions with care a lot of times. I don't think we always quite get that, but not everyone is suited to travel with the Doctor. I do think it takes a certain type of metal in someone to really, really be a companion. You got to be kind of made of sterner stuff, I think, which again I think was why Victoria wasn't good at it. She got very frightened a lot. She was very unhappy at the end in Fury from the Deep. And the Doctor picks up on this. He knows the people who should travel with him and who shouldn't, whereas Rose isn't the Doctor. She doesn't quite get that. She just kind of gets on with him and asks to take him too. And I think that's important to remember in this. The Doctor didn't pick him. So it's interesting seeing him fail. I like the idea of a potential companion that can't live up to the standard of being a companion. That fascinates me because we don't get to see that very often. And it's interesting that, that has consequences for Adam because the Doctor just leaves him stranded there in his own time. With his head the way it is when it opens. The Doctor doesn't even fix it. Don't screw with the Ninth Doctor, man. The Ninth Doctor doesn't play games. I like the fact the Ninth Doctor gives him that one last chance to confess about the answering machine, and when Adam doesn't, he blows it up and just leaves him like that. You have to live a quiet life. I love that. I absolutely love that. The other thing I like is that it shows that the Doctor itself is not perfect. So the Doctor is a very flawed character. And that's one thing we have to remember. He's not a god. He's not Space Jesus, and I certainly don't like the idea of when people try to do him as Space Jesus. He isn't. While he's not a human being, he is a Time Lord, and Time Lords are flawed, just like people are flawed. And he makes mistakes. And he does make a mistake here. When he saves the day, so to speak, with help from the woman who has the thing. And I really liked her as a character, too. That's another thing I liked about the episode. The woman that's helping him with her head. I really like her in this episode. When the day is saved, instead of sticking around to kind of clean up the mess and make sure things get back on track, he just runs off and leaves again, like the Doctor tends to do when everything's over. He leaves. He just kind of sneaks away. And because of this, that leads directly into the events in the two-parter, Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. And yeah, it's the Doctor not fixing things in the long game that causes everything that happens in Parting of the Ways, that two-parter. When we find out, it's 100 years later, they're still on Satellite 5, and the Daleks are behind everything. Where if the Doctor had stayed in the long game and maybe tried to figure out what was going on, he could have unearthed this plot before it became even worse. In Parting of the Ways, when the one woman calls it, 100 years of hell, and the Doctor's like, I created this world. He acknowledges it's his fault. So it's nice to see, again, that he is flawed. He's not Space Jesus. He makes mistakes. So he is a flawed character in that he doesn't do what he should here. And as a result of him screwing up in the long game, we see the consequences play out in the two-parter, which causes a lot of people their lives. Most of the people on the station get killed, including Linda. And I liked Linda. Jack the first time, and then the Ninth Doctor himself. He ends up having to regenerate into the 10th Doctor. So far-reaching consequences because he doesn't stay and clean up his mess. So I find that interesting. And the long game is one of those shows that I could see somebody just watching the first time and just judging it on the episode alone and kind of just thinking it's good but not great. It's when you start to think about these things, when you really let the long game kind of gel in your head, bounce around in there for a little bit, and maybe go back and rewatch it a couple times, you really start thinking about the long game more and all of these things. Adam as a companion, a failed companion, and the Doctor not doing more here, causing far worse things to happen later. And that fascinates me. And I think that's the main thing about the long game that I really like is it shows, the flaws of the Doctor and the problems with Adam. Those are just neat concepts to me. There's something else about this episode. I do like the one girl, the one that's really deep undercover, because I didn't see that coming. The one is, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't. And then she's like, freeze, don't move. Didn't see that coming. Thought that was a neat little twist. So yeah, it's a good story. I enjoyed it. Yeah, the little thing hanging up in the tower looks kind of silly and unbelievable, and it's not a perfect episode, but I do enjoy it. It's not my favorite episode of Series 1. It's not even probably in my top 4 or 5. It's such a good series. Series 1 of Modern Who is one of the best, easily. But I still really enjoy it, again, more because the more I think about it, the more I like the things it does and the things it sets up. So that's my thoughts on the long game. What do you think of the long game? And what do you think about the things I have pointed out about the long game? If you haven't watched it in a while, I recommend you go back and check it out again. And then go watch the Series 1 finale two-parter. See how they tie together. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on a new video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and want to support what I do. There is a link to that down in the description below. My entry-level tier is only $2 a month if you want to support what I do. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.